Internet change les méthodes de travail de l'industrie immobilière dans le monde entier. Et Victor Lund, consultant américain unanimement reconnu, passe en revue les tendances qui ont le potentiel pour restructurer le secteur immobilier. Je vous demande d'accueillir bien fort Victor Lund.
Bonjour. That is the extent of my French. I'm very sorry. Thank you all very much for having me here in this conference. It's fantastic what they've put together. This is certainly one of the most impressive trade shows that I've been to in America or anywhere in the world. And it's great to be here in France and enjoying it. So thank you for having me. So I think she talked a little bit about my background. I'm from Los Angeles, California. My company practices consulting. So we work with many of the largest companies in the real estate industry throughout America. Some of them are large portals that you may have heard of, companies like Zillow or Realtor.com. We also work with the multiple listing service. I understand that you don't have one here. I'm sorry about that. We work with the associations of real estate, like the National Association of Real Estate. But most importantly, we work with the largest real estate firms in America. So we work with Keller Williams, Realogy. We do work for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and many of very large companies. And our experience working with them is really about technology and helping them get their systems that they use to operate their business to work together, to communicate together, and to improve the ability of the sales associates when they're working with a consumer to buy or sell a home. So I'm going to begin by talking about a few themes or ideas that have shaped the way real estate happens today. And then I'm going to walk through a few themes that are shaping the way real estate will happen tomorrow. So a little bit of today, a little bit of tomorrow. So probably the biggest thing that's happened in real estate, and this started to happen around the year 2000, was that we moved from an advertising in the newspaper to advertising online, the digital advertising world. Initially, the portal companies around the world would provide you free advertising of your property, and they would get money from other advertisers on their portal that would come to see the listings. One of the things that's changed, and maybe not changed for the better, it depends, but they have now charged the real estate people to have their listings on the portal. So this has been terrific because real estate agencies no longer have to focus so much about driving consumers to the listing because these people do it for them. And it's been a really good thing. In America today, we're seeing that you get an average of 1 or 2 inquiries per property per month. And I imagine it's probably about the same here. So it hasn't become quite as popular as the newspaper advertising in terms of driving consumers to contact you about looking at your listing. And certainly not in America, but maybe it's different here. So the next thing that's really revolutionized real estate is what we call transaction management. And transaction management has 3 components. One component is the forms itself. So we have standardized all of the listing forms and all of the sale forms. So they're a little different in each state across the United States, but in general we're using the same forms, and this has made it very easy. Before this, we had to go to an attorney to draft the contract. Now the contracts are all pretty similar. The second thing about the contract that has really been helpful is digital signatures. So as you'll recall, when you have somebody who wants to make an offer on a property or wants to sell their property, you would have to print the paperwork, you'd fill it out, every page, then you would have to drive over to their place and you would have to have them sign it, and then you take it over and get the buyer and the seller to sign it. Lots of driving around, yeah? That's no more. So today we're doing digital transaction management. It all happens over email, no more fax machines, no more driving around, and this has really made real estate simpler. So the next trend that has really shaped real estate today is the whole idea of being able to understand what your property is worth. And consumers really want to know. It's absolutely true that the property is one of the most valuable investments that a person has in their financial portfolio. And Zillow was the first company in America to come and tell anyone, you just put in your property address and they tell you what it's worth. And this used to be only the ability of the real estate agent. So if you wanted to know what your home was worth, you had to call a real estate agent, and they would come over and they would give you information about recently sold property around your property. They would tell you what they sold for, are they available for sale today, how much per square meter it's worth, and these types of things. So this has given the consumer the same amount of information about property value that only the real estate company used to know before. Yeah? So this is dynamically changed. It's made the consumer much more intelligent, much more interested, and much more aware of what's happening in the marketplace. Some people believed that this is a threat to real estate agents. They were concerned that this made the real estate agent less powerful, less knowledgeable about the market. But it's actually changed things. Before we had automated valuations, the real estate agent had to explain why they should believe in the price that you're giving them. Now, the consumer's already done their research about pricing. They already know the range of value that their home may be worth. So when the real estate associate goes in to speak to them, they talk about a price and it's a little more realistic. So you can set your pricing more accurately. Moreover, when it goes to the bank says, oh, this price is right. Yeah? So it's very, very good. The fifth thing that's really changed, and I believe Matterport is here today. Does anyone know if Matterport is here? Yeah? Okay. This has been a remarkable change that's happened in real estate. Before, when you wanted to look at properties, you would have to either look at pictures of the property and then drive to each one to understand whether that property was right for you. But now we've entered a world where you can really experience the property through virtual reality, through virtual tours, and really get a feel for the property, for the neighborhood, for what the lifestyle is like without getting in the car and going to each place. Okay? So now I want to talk a little bit about the future, things that are shaping the years to come. And I'm going to walk you through a few of the ideas that are happening across America, because I think that they will happen here as well. And one of the things that's really important about change is it does not happen until things go from an option to a must. In medical, they say when it goes from a vitamin to a painkiller. So you can forget to take your vitamins, but you can't forget to take your painkillers, yeah? Okay. So one of the things that's happened that is very unusual is that we're seeing increased cooperation among real estate agencies. Real estate agencies are beginning to understand that if they do not begin to work together to create positive change in the industry, that outside forces will come and disrupt real estate, and change will happen regardless of your involvement. Not good. But what it's done is it's created a foundation of an efficient marketplace. When real estate agencies are working together, they're able to serve the consumer in the best possible way. Now, we have a system where if one agency represents the buyer, another agency represents the seller, they split the commission. And it's very different from exclusive agency. But it's really working very, very well. And they found that by working together, they have really reduced the number of for sale by owners. So one of the most dramatic changes that we've seen is in Montreal, Canada, where Montreal maybe 8 years ago was very similar to Europe in many ways. About 1/3 of all property transactions were for sale by owner, and now they're less than 1%. So the idea there is that brokers are sharing their listings, and it's really making a big difference. So the next thing that's happening, and this is an emerging trend, is that real estate agents are beginning to work together within the firm. So a lot of times you will have a real estate agent team, and they're working together, and it allows each real estate agent to specialize in the area of transacting real estate that they're the best at. So some are very good at sitting down with the property owner and talking to them about listing their home for sale. In this case, the #1 real estate agent in America is Ben Caballero. He's in Dallas, Texas. He sold $1.4 billion of real estate last year. A phenomenal number. He could not have done that without his team. Now, he's very unusual. He works with builders. So when he goes on a listing presentation, he gets 100 listings at a time. So they'll sell out an entire development or an entire building. He has marketing real estate agents, agents who only work on the marketing side of the properties. And when you're walking in the door with 100 new listings, it takes many of those people to go and do the marketing for each individual home. They have showing agents. These are the agents who walk potential buyers through the property. And they're the best at that. They love that. And they become very good at that. And then he has a group of people who only do the transactions. So when somebody is ready to place an offer on the property, that's all they do. So and then he has another group of people who only do what he calls customer for life experience. So after they close the transaction, this group of agents stay in touch with the new homeowner to make sure that when they go to transact again, they'll come back and use Ben and Ben's team in order to transact again. He's not alone. There are approximately 3,000 of such teams across America today, and it's growing every day. These are the top 10. You can see that Tracy in Boston did $300 million worth of real estate transactions last year. $300 million. So now we're going to get into some of the technical things. So our company works with an organization called the Real Estate Standards Organization. And their website is at reso.org, O-R-G. And RESO does two things. One is they've created a data dictionary. So everybody understands what a dictionary is? So you guys understand that, let's just take, like, we're in the 19th, yeah? 19th arrondissement? So I could write that 1-9, or I could write it 19 and spell it out. I could use a word, or I could use a number. But, so we have to make a choice as an industry. We can't do it both ways. So you have to pick one. Neither is wrong. There are many options. Bedrooms and bathrooms, same, right? Like, one of the big problems with real estate data is bathrooms. So we have a full bathroom, which would be a sink, a shower, and a tub. We have a 3/4 bathroom, sink, and shower. We have a quarter bathroom, sink only. And you could say that as a fraction, 1/4, or you could write it out, yeah? Or do a decimal, 0.75, 0.5, right? So there's many ways that we can express information using data, and what the Real Estate Standards Organization attempts to do is make it all work together. So right now, you've experienced this every day in your life if you have a Google phone, an Android, or an Apple phone. Now, both of those companies have standards, and those standards allow any application that you put on your phone to be able to move information back and forth. For example, with Facebook, you load Facebook on your phone, you can authorize it to look into your contacts and invite all your contacts to connect to you on Facebook, yeah? So that uses data standards, and that's using a transmission capability called an API, or Application Programming Interface. It's very technical, I'm sorry, but you have to understand it. So the idea of APIs is that any of the products and services that you might find out here If they all had a data standard, the same, one, and they all used APIs, then any of these applications would be able to work together. So hopefully you understand the benefit of the real estate standards. I think it's something that you guys should really look at for Europe. Much in the same way that you've standardized on the euro, I would like to see you standardize on real estate data. So the next thing that's emerging as a change is brokers are beginning to work together to create a single database of all of the listing information. So right now, brokerage firms, everyone has their own database. You're all managing servers. You're all putting it somewhere or in many places. Or you're putting it in the applications that you use to power your business. You'll put the listing on your website. You'll put the listing on Solage. You'll put the listing in your virtual tour product. You'll put the listing, you put it everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. The whole idea is upstream is that you put the listing in one place, and then using APIs, you're allowed to share it with all of the different places. I want you to understand that this is a non-for-profit. They consider this to be the most important utility that allows brokerages to work together effectively. There's no advantage to one company having a database and another company having a database and another company having a database. There is an enormous advantage to our industry if all of the companies together work to create a single database where the brokerage firm is in control of the data. So if you want to give your data to someone, you can go ahead and give it to them. You don't have to talk to anyone. And when it goes out to them, it's standard data. It works. It's already created and shaped in a way that is going to allow it to work with the product or service that you're interested in. The other thing that's very interesting is that they're not thinking about listings anymore. They're thinking about parcels. So today, Upstream has over 300 million parcels. 98.5% of every parcel in America is in Upstream. When that property or parcel becomes for sale, then it goes active. It's just a status change. The data never goes away. You just add to it and manage it. And when it's sold, it just goes off market, but that data is still in your database and you still have the information. And you can use that for remarketing or for reselling later on. The other thing that's very important is they're putting in business rules. So there's every real estate agency and every real estate agent has a special thing they do whenever they get a listing. You know, they may have certain portals that they send it to. They may build virtual tours. They have to get sign service, put a sign in the yard. There's lots and lots and lots of steps along the way. The nice thing about Upstream is that once you configure those steps, every time you get a listing, all of these things automatically happen. I talked to you earlier about the RESO API. You can see that there's a significant partnership between the Real Estate Standards Organization and Upstream. And the whole idea is that if we use standards, that these systems will work together. That brokers are embracing the standards of the industry and allowing them to grow and become more adopted. Because having a standard that the brokers don't use makes it impossible for the technology companies to integrate with. So you have to have adoption by the brokers in order for the technology companies to enjoy this benefit. They no longer have to go and aggregate data. They no longer have to change your data in order to get it to work to those applications. You go through the booth and you say, I want to use your product. Great. Give me an API key. And I can do that right on my phone and send it to the vendor. They take the key, they paste it into their application to set up a new account, and instantly your product is live before you leave the booth. Fantastic. Now, it's not only listing information, it's also the firm record. And the firm record could be, it's the branding of the brokerage, your logo, all of your office addresses. It's each of your sales associates, all of the real estate agents, their headshots, their cell phone numbers, everything, right? If they have an assistant, that information is in there. If there's an office manager, that information is in there. So similarly, the way you can get your listing information in there, you can get your branding and marketing information in there. So you want to buy, you decide that you choose a Matterport and you want to provide a Matterport account for every one of your agents. When you provide that authorization key with the API, they set up accounts for every one of the agents in your company while you're at the booth. Amazing new stuff. We think that this is going to be one of the more transformational things that is going to change the future of how real estate companies work and how agencies work. Now, this is probably the fastest growing initiative that we've seen in the history of real estate. So 2 years ago, real estate brokers felt that they should have their own portal. They should own socie. And in order to do that, they had to reimagine how they could work together. So they went through a pretty rigorous process to determine whether they should build their own or to purchase one. And they entered into a partnership with a company called HomeSnap. And HomeSnap is the developer of the Broker Public Portal. The contract was finished in December of last year. They launched the company in January, and from January to today, they have 750,000 real estate agents on the platform now, and all of their listings. It's in every major city across America, and it's currently, within 8 months, the 13th most popular portal in America. It's owned by the brokers. They pay $1 per agent per month. That's it. That covers the cost. We expect that by the middle of the year, next year, we should have over 1 million agents on this platform. It gets very hard when you get up over 1 million because you have to find every agent and you have to find out where they are. But we expect to be over 1 million, and we expect to be one of the top 5 portals in America next year. Beyond that, we hope that it will continue to grow. We hope that it will continue to compete and give people an alternative to the portals where you have to pay a lot of money in order to have your listings on there. Probably the biggest difference in the Broker Public Portal is that, like Upstream, it's a non-for-profit. It's brokers working together to reimagine a future where they're the center of it and where their sales associates are the center. And it's becoming a huge draw. Consumers are now saying, will my property be on HomeSnap? HomeSnap is the #1 rated mobile app in the App Store. So it's, like many of the other portals, it's become mobile first. They also have the website at homesnap.com. And again, it's parcel centric. So every listing is on there, even if it's for sale or not. For a listing that is not for sale, if it was sold before, like maybe sold last year, the listing agency and its listing agent is on that property as the company that represented the buyer or seller. And if you have different companies representing both, then they both display on the off-market property. So this is a complicated thing. As you can tell, I really love data. And one of the things that we believe is that when you take photographs of a property and you write a description of text like a property, you become Gauguin. You're an artist. And as such, you're able to copyright your photos. You see the watermarking on this photo? You see the watermark? Okay. One of the things that we're seeing emerge is that brokerage companies are copywriting their information and watermarking their information. This should be the copyright of the listing broker or the agent, whoever takes the pictures and things like that. By filing that copyright, you no longer allow companies to take your information and reuse it without your permission. We think this is transformational because it doesn't allow people to steal your data. Every time that your information appears on the internet, it's very clearly from your firm. In a way, it's free advertising. But it's also reinforced by international copyright laws. So if somebody steals your pictures, they steal your descriptions, they put them on a different website without your permission, you can sue them or just stop them. Write them a letter from your attorney and just say, stop, take it down, which prohibits people from using your information and earning money off of your information without your consent. Yeah? Now, this is probably the most difficult thing for me to understand. I hope I do a good job. But we've had an emergence of discount brokerage in America. Redfin is a 1% brokerage. Traditionally, companies traditionally in America, it's a 6% commission on a transaction, 3% to the buy side, and 3% to the sell side. Redfin was trying to disrupt our industry by doing 1%. By the way, Redfin's a client. I like them very much. This is nothing to say that discount brokers are bad. All it is to say that discount brokers are not successful. Redfin is the #1 brokerage website in America. And we looked at their home, which is in Seattle. We looked at Seattle, and they're #2 in Seattle, right behind Zillow in terms of overall traffic. They get 30 million visits a month just in Seattle. It's an enormously successful online brokerage. But they have less than 2% market share, meaning that 98% of all other transactions happen with other brokerages and only 2% go to Redfin. Redfin loses $40 million a year. They've never made money. They've only been focused on growth. Similarly, Zip Realty, which was a company purchased by Realogy a few years ago for something like $300 million, that company never made money. Again, they were a technology company who was trying to disrupt real estate with a discount. Discount brokerage has never been profitable, which in our minds means it's not sustainable. But one of the things that is emerging in the United States, which is very, very different, is they're reshaping the brokerage. So there's this company called HomeSmart. They're based in Phoenix, Arizona. And they pioneered, along with a few other companies, the idea of 100% commission to the sales associate. So all of the proceeds go to the sales associate, to the real estate agent. None of it goes to the broker. The only way the brokerage makes money is they charge them about $100 a month for technology. And then they charge them about $400 every time they do a transaction. This company, within a year and a half, has accumulated 14,000 real estate agents in about 3 cities in America. So they're just beginning to get out right now. There's another company called Real Estate One, which also is 100%. So what's changing here is that brokerages are becoming experts at delivering technology to real estate agents and then helping them produce the transaction in the best possible way and allowing the real estate agents to do all of their own marketing and to work with their customers however they like. So that, we think, is something that's going to reshape real estate. And this is the thing, this is a reality that we haven't seen emerge anywhere in the world today, but I'm very confident this is going to happen. There are very, very few homes in the world today that aren't backed by a mortgage. In other words, the mortgage company, the bank, owns the home. They get payments from the consumer. They're very, very, very close to changing the way real estate happens. So there are 4 companies right now which have a very, very different business model. So Zillow offered a product called Instant Offers. The way Instant Offers works is you go to Zillow.com, you say, I'm the homeowner, and you click the button that says, make me an offer. And then 3 banks will give you the price that they will buy your home for on the spot right now. No real estate agent, no process of listing your home, no open houses, nobody walking through your bathroom or your bedroom. It happens instantly and the bank buys your home. Then the bank works with the real estate agency to sell it. That's the same thing with Offers. So Offers is doing the same thing. Open Door is another company that's doing it, as well as Carrington Financial. These are bank-backed companies that are just buying homes on the spot. In the case of Carrington, they buy mostly foreclosed properties that are already bank-owned, so the consumer didn't pay their loan, the bank took the home away, kicked out the consumer. Carrington buys hundreds of properties at a time from banks. So what's interesting about these 4 emerging companies is that it's instant sale. And it's instant sale that is being produced by the financial backing of a bank. And you can see that these banks are very, very interested. They own the properties anyway. The only risk to them is the time it takes to sell. So in San Francisco today, we talk about days on market. That's the number of days it takes to sell a home. The number of days it takes to sell a home in San Francisco is 8. It's the lowest that I know of in the world. But we have, like, similarly to Europe, we have a very, very hot real estate market. Average days on market across America is under 30, less than a month to sell a home. So you have to understand that the bank's exposure is less than 30 days. It's 1 home payment. That's their cost, which is significantly less than they would have to pay in commission to a real estate agent for a transaction. So we see this as possibly the most disruptive thing that could happen in the real estate industry in America and across the world. And with that, I just want to say merci. I think I'm a little early. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for having me. And we'll see how my projections work out.